Hello and welcome to one of my other flight reviews. I'm now at Adelaide Airport. It's gonna be a very long day. Today I'm going to fly in Virgin Australia business class from Adelaide to Melbourne to Sydney to Gold Coast, then back to Sydney. Hopefully by the end of the day I'll be able to have a comprehensive review of Virgin Australia's lounges and its meals on board. Let's go! On the 3rd of March, I flew in Virgin Australia's business class from Sydney to Melbourne. The experience wasn't really great. Virgin relaunched its business class on the 25th of March. With improved business class menu, I decided to give them another go today. At Adelaide Airport, Virgin has a priority check-in lane for business class passengers. Virgin Australia's check-in opens 90 minutes before the first flight departs. At 4:34, the staff arrived at the counter.
Morning, how are you?
Morning.
Where are you coming to?
I have 4 flights today. The last one is to Sydney.
So where is the first one is Sydney?
The last one is Sydney.
Where are you coming to first?
Melbourne.
Melbourne? So you're going Adelaide, Melbourne, Melbourne, Sydney?
Yeah, then Sydney Gold Coast, then Gold Coast back to Sydney.
Wow, really? That's a long journey.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you got the right one.
Yep, all good.
Yeah, all good.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day. See you later. Bye.
After dropping off my bag, I headed straight to the lounge. The Adelaide lounge is located opposite to gate 15. The lounge opens 1 hour before the first Virgin Australia flight departs, so there's a half an hour gap between check-in and lounge opening. How did I and most other people spend this half an hour? Well, by standing and waiting. At 5 o'clock sharp, the lounge finally opened its door. This new Virgin Australia lounge was opened on the 23rd of February. The lounge has 283 seat facility, mixing large social benches with smaller tables for solo or duo dining. The lounge has very beautiful decoration. This fresh new design could be rolled out to the airline's other lounges in the future. To order food and beverages, simply scan the QR code on the table. The lounge offers a really good range of coffee and tea. Breakfast options include Danish cereal, fruit salad, protein bowl with toast, and yogurt muesli pot. As you can see, these meals are pretty light. If you want a full English breakfast, I'm afraid you have to cook it at home. Since it's still very early in the morning, I ordered a cappuccino to keep myself awake. The ordering system allows you to customize the sweetness and the milk to be used for your coffee. Once you made up your mind, simply put in your first name and submit your order. The staff will bring your choices to you when ready. Ta-da! Food arrived 2 minutes after I put in my order. I ordered 2 drinks and 3 breakfast items to check out the quality of the food here. First, apricot Danish. The Danish was warm and it looked very fresh. Second, the fruit salad. There were so many different fruit in the bowl, including watermelon, orange, rockmelon, kiwi and grapes. I believe they were cut fresh this morning, but to be honest, other than the grapes, none of the fruit tasted sweet. Now the muesli yogurt. Fresh muesli and fresh yogurt. You can't get this wrong. I like it. The coffee. I ordered a cup of cappuccino. This morning it was served in a takeaway cup. When I was a barista, cappuccino was my favorite coffee to make. It is fun to make and it's the best way to judge your coffee shop. The ratio of cappuccino is generally 1 part espresso, 1 part steamed milk to 1 part foam. Let's have a look at this coffee. The layer of the foam is wet and thick, which is good. The ratio is correct, temperature perfect, and the coffee still has a recognizable espresso taste. I can confirm that they make really good coffee here. Moving on to the apple juice, unfortunately it wasn't as good as the coffee. The juice was not freshly squeezed. It tasted like bottled apple juice, like those ones that does not require refrigerating before opening. I prefer fresh apple juice, therefore I do not recommend this juice.
Virgin Australia is travelling to Melbourne on flight VH-YVD. Now welcome business class guests, Platinum Gold members of Velocity travelling to Melbourne on flight VH-YVD to board now. 13. Thank you.
To leave the aircraft, follow the instructions of the crew to an exit. And as always,
The aircraft that Virgin uses for this flight is a Boeing 737-800 with 2 rows of business class seats in a 2-2 configuration located at the front of the cabin. The seat had a width of 19.5 inches and a pitch of 38 inches. The recline is only 5 inches, which isn't much for a business class seat. There's an extendable cocktail table between the seats, and below the table are 2 power plugs. Unfortunately, on this flight, the plugs were either broken or not turned on. My phone did not charge after plugging it in. In the armrest is a retractable tray table. It can be extended to reach the cocktail table to make it more stable. Virgin has introduced a buy on board menu for passengers traveling in economy class. Here's a menu. For business class, it's a good guide to see what beverages I can order with my meal. Welcome drink has returned to Virgin's business class. However, the onboard leader of this flight only offered us chilled water. At 6 o'clock, the Rex flight to Melbourne pushed back on time. For us, I'm not so sure. While waiting for the remaining passengers to board the plane, the onboard leader came to take my breakfast order. There was only one option this morning.
Welcome to business. I'll be looking after you today. Would you like to have some virgin muesli with us this morning and a pastry?
Sure. We finally began our pushback after being half an hour behind schedule. Apparently, there were long queues at security screening this morning, hence it took a long time to get everyone aboard the plane.
thanks for flying Virgin Australia. We're happy you're with us.
Despite being in a 2-2 configuration, the overhead control panel still has 3 reading lights and 3 air vents. The lights are adjustable, so you can make the reading light in the middle to point at you if you want. The aircraft is fitted with mood lighting, which is supposed to give passengers a more relaxing environment. Soon after takeoff, breakfast was served. From the presentation, this is such a big improvement compared to the dreadful snack box that Virgin served until the 25th of March. Each meal in business class is now plated and is served in a single tray using fresh ingredients. The only breakfast option I got this morning was bircher muesli with raisins, dried pumpkin seeds and shaved coconut. Along with the main, there was a Danish side dish and a cup of white tea as I requested. Napkin and stainless steel cutlery have returned to business class. The bircher muesli was cold. The first few bites tasted okay, but after that, the sourness of the raisins and also possibly the lime juice in the dish overpowered the muesli, which made the dish tasted a bit strange. Of course, this could be personal preference. Some people might like it. I'm just letting you know what I think. Now to the Danish. It was served warm and tasted okay. In terms of the tea, I assumed they'd give me a packet of sugar on the side, just like they'd provide salt and pepper, but it didn't happen. So make sure you ask for sugar when they take your order if you want it in your beverages. A quick conclusion to the breakfast. It's definitely a huge upgrade to what Virgin served in March. However, I was a little bit disappointed with having only one meal option on this flight. I believe the bircher muesli is very healthy, but I'm not really a fan of the sour taste, so I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
Welcome to Melbourne, ladies and gentlemen, where the local time is 20 past 8 and it is a lovely 12 degrees outside.
We landed at Melbourne Tullamarine Airport 30 minutes behind schedule. Looks like we are parking next to VH-YVD, the 100th Boeing 737 delivered to Virgin. In the last 6 times that I flew with Virgin, 4 out of 6 were on this aircraft. It will be funny if my next flight to Sydney is gonna be on this aircraft again. Anyway, welcome to Melbourne. Virgin uses Terminal 3 at Melbourne Airport. At the moment, Virgin's lounge in Melbourne is undergoing a renovation. From December 2020, Virgin opened the Club Lounge to all passengers who were qualified for regular Virgin Australia lounge access. As a result, the Club Lounge got very crowded. To solve this problem, from the 3rd of May, Virgin opened a pop-up lounge for Velocity Gold and Virgin Lounge members. The Club Lounge is now reserved for Velocity Platinum and business class passengers only. This video was filmed on the 27th of April. You will see how busy the lounge was even during off-peak hours. In pre-pandemic days, the Club Lounge was an invitation-only, super premium lounge, reserved for the airline's most highly valued passengers, including high-ranking government officials, business leaders, and A-list celebrities. Although catering in the club is now the same as other Virgin lounges, it gives most travellers a rare glimpse inside what was once a heaven for the elite. What impressed me the most about the Club Lounge is the decoration. It's just wow. Same as the Adelaide Lounge, you can order your food and beverages by scanning the QR code on the table. The beverage options are similar to what they offer in Adelaide. In terms of the breakfast options, I wasn't hungry at all, but I saw in description that their muffins were freshly baked, so I decided to try one. I also ordered a cup of green and jasmine tea with honey.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Virgin Australia flight 1318 to Hong Kong.
I really like this tea, especially with honey. I highly recommend it. Now the muffin. I thought fresh baked means it's baked in-house, not outsourced. I don't know, is my understanding wrong? I mean, I don't mind their muffin to be pre-packaged, but please don't call it fresh baked if it's not fresh baked. Anyway, there's one more thing I like to show you at this lounge. It's a bathroom. Again, I absolutely love the decor. Virgin must have thrown so much money in order to build this lounge. There are 6 bathrooms, 3 for male, 3 for female. The 2 at the end have shower facility. The shower, however, is not available due to COVID restrictions. My footages don't truly reflect how beautiful this lounge is, so it's better for you to come and have a look yourself. It's time to head to the gate. The Club Lounge is located outside the security screening area, so make sure you give yourself enough time to walk to the gate. Let's find out the aircraft that will fly me to Sydney. Guess what? It is VH-YVD again. I mean, personally I have no problem with this aircraft, except I know that the power plugs on this plane do not work.
Hello, welcome on board.
For this flight, I picked seat 1A. This is such a good seat number. I had never sat in seat 1A in my life before. The other reason for me to pick row 1 is to check out the legroom. The space between my knees and the bulkhead is actually greater than the space between seat 1A and 2A. However, I cannot fully stretch my legs in seat 1A. All business class seats offer the same amount of recline. The tray table is also in the armrest, and just as I expected, the power plugs did not work on this plane. Due to the bulkhead, you cannot place any bag in front of you during takeoff and landing, but you can put your belongings in the pocket attached to the bulkhead. It is actually quite big. I was able to put my camcorder, GoPro suction cup, my power bank, my cable, and also my phone in there. A welcome drink was offered upon boarding. This time I could choose between water and orange juice.
Cabin crew arm doors cross-check.
The onboard leader of this flight took my lunch order shortly after takeoff. I got two options.
Today's flight was setting a light meal for you. The offering today some farro and roast vegetable smoked salmon salad or roast vegetable and pesto Turkish sandwich.
He also showed me the sample picture of the salmon salad and Turkish sandwich. I'm not usually a fan of salad, but after evaluating the presentation of the dishes, I picked salmon salad. Again, the meal was plated and was served in a single tray. The salad consisted of oats, rocket, tomatoes, carrots and smoked salmon. In terms of the beverages, I asked for a can of lemonade and a glass of water. Oh look, I got a glass full of ice without having to ask for it. Finally, the side dish was cheese and crackers. Let's dig in. I'm a fan of smoked salmon, so I know I would like this dish. The smoked salmon tasted exactly the same as the one that I usually buy from the supermarket. Oh, don't get me wrong, I really like it. There was no seasoning on the rocket, the carrots, tomatoes or oat salad. The flavor mainly came from the salmon. This dish is simple, but it was very delicious. Virgin offered Italian dressing for the salad. I didn't realize until I finished the meal. You can tell I really enjoy the salad even without the dressing. The onboard leader quickly cleared my tray after I finished my food and he asked if I wanted a cup of tea or coffee. This was the first time I learned that Virgin offers two types of black tea in business, English breakfast or Earl Grey. Other onboard leaders that I met never told me that I got two choices. As we are getting close to Sydney, you can see the smoke from hazard reduction burns has caused poor air quality across the city. A quick summary of this flight. I really enjoyed the salmon salad. I would highly recommend to everyone who were offered this option. This is the best meal I've had on Virgin so far. If this dish isn't 10 out of 10, it's definitely a solid 9 out of 10 from me. I also really enjoyed the service on this flight. The onboard leader Yoi is the most professional and attentive crew I've met on Virgin so far.
Through the aero bridge at the front, so if you have difficulty using the stairs, please use the forward door to disembark.
Welcome to Sydney. I have roughly 3.5 hours to my next flight, so I went outside the terminal to see if Virgin's lounge premium entry has reopened in Sydney. It hasn't. Virgin uses Terminal 2 at Sydney Airport. To access the lounge, you now have to go through security screening, then on the same level you will see the entry to the lounge.
Thank you.
Virgin Australia's Sydney lounge occupies 2 levels, with the upper level offering some good views across the airport. However, the upper level has not yet reopened. The lounge has plenty of seating space in different arrangements, but this lounge still can get pretty crowded during afternoon peak hours. Along with the new onboard menu, Virgin also introduced freshly made sandwiches, salad, wraps and healthy snacks in its Sydney, Brisbane, Canberra and Adelaide lounges. This lounge doesn't offer QR code ordering and table service, so you have to go to the buffet and get your own food. Because the manager at this lounge didn't want me to film the bar and the buffet due to security concerns the last time I was here, so I cannot show you what it looks like. On the menu today, there were salad, toasties, fruit salad, sandwiches, wraps, cheese and chips.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a personal bridge for
I got a glass of Coke, a can of Green Beacon 7 Bells Goes, a pack of chips and one of the two salads, the Thai beef noodle salad. While enjoying my lunch at the lounge, I also allowed my cameras to relax and being charged. The Thai beef salad. What can I say? I like the beef, but the dressing of the salad was very sour and a little spicy. If you don't mind the sourness, you'd probably find this salad refreshing, but I'm not a fan, sorry. Virgin starts offering alcoholic beverages after midday. It's now 1:15, so I got myself a beer. Overall, the food options at this lounge have definitely improved compared to my last visit in early March. After spending enough time at the lounge, I went to gate 53 to do some plane spotting. There was an Altus Boeing 747 freighter taxiing to the bay, and Cathay Pacific A350-1000 taxiing to runway 16 right, and look here, a Royal Australian Air Force Special Purpose Aircraft Boeing business jet just touched down after a short flight from Canberra. That is such a smooth landing. Followed by the BBJ is the Skytrader's Airbus A319. This plane has no markings on its tail except a small Australian flag.
Good afternoon. We now welcome our business class guests, platinum and gold members of Velocity travelling through to the Gold Coast on flight VA527 to board now through gate lounge 40. Thank you.
Thank you. I picked seat 2A because for flights to Southeast Queensland, no matter which runway the plane takes off from, you always get to see the Sydney Harbour on takeoff if you sit on the left side of the plane. Let's check the power plugs. Really? 3 out of 3 flights today don't have working power plugs. To prove that they were not working, here is me plugging in my phone and it didn't work. When I flew with Virgin about a week ago, the power plugs were turned on and functioning, so were the other 2 flights that I flew 3 days ago. So am I just really unlucky today, or do half of Virgin's fleet have broken power plugs? I don't know.
How are you going today?
Oh, good, thanks. Just a still water and a sparkling wine.
Okay.
The welcome drink on this flight had the extra option of sparkling wine. Yeah, hooray! Virgin has reintroduced the sparkling. Take a look at this aircraft adjacent to us, VH-YVD. Anything special?
Cabin crew, I'm doing the cross check.
For this late afternoon flight, I was offered the similar meal options as lunch.
It looks like salmon, or I have the roast vegetable with pesto on Turkish bread. It's like a panini.
I don't mind having the salmon salad again, but for comparison's sake, I opted for the roast vegetable Turkish bread panini. This vegetarian dish was the first hot meal I had on Virgin today. The bread was warm and crispy. There were quite a few layers of vegetables and cheese on top of the bread. Once again, the dish was very healthy. The side dish was cheese and crackers. and for the drinks I asked for a cup of hot chocolate. Overall, I would give this meal an 8 out of 10. I still prefer the salmon salad, but this Turkish bread is also an excellent option. After finishing my meal, it was already time to land. Approaching to Gold Coast can be rough sometimes, but the view is usually very rewarding. Do you know what you'll see when sunlight and rain combine in a specific way? The rainbow! How extraordinary!
Welcome to the Gold Coast. The local time is 4:33. On behalf of your entire report team, I'd like to thank you for choosing to fly with Virgin Australia today and appreciate your ongoing loyalty and support. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and the remainder of the week ahead. Thank you and good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See you later.
Hello Gold Coast and hello Queensland. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go to Surfers Paradise or Movie World today, but I'll come back to Gold Coast in June. For the time being, let's head back to the airport. This is the shortest Queensland trip I've ever had. One friendly reminder, at Gold Coast Airport, Virgin Australia's check-in and bag drop only opens 90 minutes before each flight. So don't come to the airport too early unless you wanna waste your time waiting and checking your watch every few minutes. Virgin Australia's lounge at this airport is located above Hungry Jack's. The entry is located behind Hungry Jack's. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
My first impression of this lounge is that it looks like a smaller version of the Sydney lounge. I mean, they probably have the same tables, seats, as well as a buffet table. The lounge offers an excellent view of the apron. There's no QR code on each table, therefore you have to order your food from the buffet. These are today's beverage and food options. The aircraft that will be flying me back to Sydney is VH-YVD. Did you remember seeing this aircraft earlier in Sydney? Yeah, what are the odds? Boarding commenced really early tonight at 35 minutes before takeoff.
Welcome to business class. Thank you. Second row by the window.
VH-YVD is one of the older Boeing 737s that Virgin operates. You can see the overhead control panel is different to the newer ones, and the cabin does not have mood lighting. Do you know what else they don't have? The power plugs. 4 out of 4 flights today had no functioning power plugs. For the welcome drink, I asked for a glass of orange juice. It tasted like the same orange juice as I had at Macca's. Do you know how hard it is to have a steady shot of the planet that's 384,000 kilometers away on a moving aircraft? So please appreciate my effort. On the last flight of the day, let me show you the in-flight entertainment. To access, you have to download the Virgin Entertainment app before takeoff and connect to Virgin's local area network in your Wi-Fi settings. Virgin now constantly updates its movie collections in its app, which is good, and its movie map feature shows you the location, the speed, the altitude of the plane, and the estimated time of arrival. Another good thing about the app is that it remembers the movies that you last watched. I watched this movie on my last flight and I was able to continue watching it on this flight. For dinner, the options were vegetarian mushroom ravioli and the famous meat pie. Of course, I would pick the meat pie. The meat in the pie was beef brisket served with mashed potato and tomato chutney. I think the pie is the only hot, non-vegetarian dish that Virgin offers in its business class at the moment. I'm very excited to try it. The pie is slightly larger than the pies that you get in a bakery, and according to its shape, I reckon it's made for you to eat with knife and fork. Technically, this is a beef mince pie with finely chopped mushrooms, onions and carrots. Compared to the other 3 healthy meals I had earlier, this dish is a bit salty. The tomato chutney worked perfectly with the pie, and the mash was delicious too. However, I do wish that they could put more mash on the plate next time. Overall, it was another 8 out of 10 dish, but salmon salad is still my favorite. After the meal, it was almost time to land again. You may have noticed that no matter what time it is, the crew always calls the meal a light meal. I mean, it is true. Most of the dishes I had were either cold or vegetarian. I think Virgin's strategy is to put simple ingredients on a fancy plate to compete against Qantas and Rex's hot meal service. Of course, I wish to have steak or roast chicken for my main meal, but consider how much cheaper Virgin's business class is compared to Qantas. I'm quite happy with Virgin's new business class menu. Along with the extensive beverage options, the in-flight entertainment, the lounge, and the frequent flyer program, Virgin now offers a better business class product than Rex Airlines. In terms of the service, it really depends on the onboard leader. The 4 that I met today were quite nice and friendly. Some pay more attention to detail than others, but I can see that they have definitely gone through some sort of training and they now provide a more personalized service than what I received in early March. In conclusion, Virgin is now back in the game, offering a truly competitive domestic business class product. I'm more than happy to fly with them again in the near future. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know I made it very long again. I promise my next video will be much shorter. Please hit the like button if you find it interesting or helpful, and please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to watch more trains, flights and hotel reviews in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sydney. The local time here is 8:30 p.m. For everyone's safety, please keep your seatbelt fastened and your arms extended clear until the seatbelt sign is switched off. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for choosing to fly with Virgin Australia. We now have absolute pleasure looking after you. On behalf of your crew, we wish you a safe on the journey and we hope to see you on board again soon. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
And thank you so much for helping me reaching 5k subscribers. I believe I'm now well on track in reaching 10k before my birthday. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next video.